Hi YouTube, my name's David, and today we are giving you another episode of One Piece 5 Minutes, where we talk about the fundamentals of One Piece to help you win more games, play more comfortably, and just have a better time playing One Piece. Today, I want to talk to you guys about sequencing, and we're going to go through a little bit more than we usually do, but hopefully stay under 5 minutes if we can. We are going to start with simple stuff like NL triggers and sequencing to play around NL triggers. Bonnie leader ability, if you don't know what Bonnie leader does, is when I am attacking, she can rest one of my characters or leader when I swing. We'll go over some complicated Shanks matchups and some ways to get around specific things by using Dofi characters and kind of just playing against it. And then we're going to go through some simple lines as Lucci just to kind of get the sequencing down and see how important sequencing is when you're making plays. If you guys are new to the channel, this is your first time here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you guys enjoy content like this where it's a little bit more educational, quick, straight to the point, and production quality. Make sure to also drop some comments below if you guys have any advice for anybody viewing this video. The comment is wide open for critique, advice, and just for people to learn more, because that's really the goal of these videos. Anyways, let's start off with talking about the phases of One Piece, because it's a little bit different than other games. Most games have a start phase, a main phase, and a battle phase, which leads straight to the end phase. But One Piece is a little bit different, where we have our reset phase, where we set everything back as active, draw one card from deck, draw 2 Dawn, and then we have our main phase where we can attack anytime we want, activate any effects we want at any point in the game, and then we end our turn. And that's super important when it comes to your sequencing, because that means you can do anything you want at any point in time. So let's say we're playing Dofi and we're on our 7 Dawn turn against an NL. I do want to play out a Boa to protect my life. So we're gonna go ahead and swing a 7 first. We play a Weevil off leader ability and we draw 1 card, boom. And then he takes life, of course. It's an Onami trigger, so yes, it pops a 5 cost or less, which means our Weevil is dead. Board is empty, we still have 4 Dawn left. Let's take the time to flood the board. Let's go Jinbei into Boa. Sucks that we don't get to use the extra Dawn for a swing, but it doesn't matter, he took the life anyways. We get to search our top deck, and we have 2 bodies on the board, meaning that if he plays a Gendatsu to get rid of 1 character next turn, that's okay because we still have a body on board. Let's say I play Jinbei, Boa, and then leader ability into Weevil, or he can Onami trigger the Boa, pop the Boa, and then swing into this Weevil, so now we're left with 1 body on board, and he can even just play Gendatsu and pop that off the bat. And then we're left with nothing. Now let's play into Bonnie with 1 Dawn active. Our goal here is that we want to try to get down a Boa blocker, but we know that if we play the Boa blocker down first and then swing, it's going to 100% get rested. Now this is where the beauty of actually having knowledge about the game comes into play. So what we can do is we can either know that we have a Jinbei on top or something and play the Boa off a Jinbei, or we can just play characters out first. If we have a Jinbei in hand, we can go teach, put Jinbei on top of our deck, swing, play out Jin, and this is where Bonnie has to use her rest ability. She cannot rest Jinbei, so she's either going to rest this or save it for later, but let's say we don't have any of the swings, odds are she's resting the teach. Off Jinbei, we're able to play the Boa, get an extra Dawn on our leader, and swing while searching. Our blocker stays active, which is really good for our next turn because we can use this as a blocker. Let's say that we did it a different way and we decided to just play Jinbei Boa and then we swung afterwards. This Dawn is going to get put to use to just rest our blocker here, so that next they can just swing at our life or even our board and just not care about the blocker at all. So it's important to know when to play characters and when to start swinging first, and just kind of pay attention and know what your opponent's deck does. So sequencing in that term is really, really important. Now we're going to play an 8 Dawn turn as Doflamingo, where we are up against Shanks and they have 2 Lucky Roo blockers. And if you don't know what a Lucky Roo blocker does, on KO it pops a 6k power or less. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play Jinbei into Law. This Law is going to bounce itself back to hand and bounce one of the Lucky Roos back to hand. On top, we're going to play Teach Ability, because we already used 4 Dawn. So we're going to use Teach Ability, put Law back on top, 2 to leader, and then we can actually add on two more and swing a 9. Leader ability, play Law, bounce Lucky Roo to connect to that 9k swing. Or we could even have gone 10, so we can make sure we connect a whole 9k even after leader ability from Shanks. And lastly, guys, we're gonna go over some simple sequencing, like things with Lucci deck. Even things as simple as playing Rebecca before playing Sabo to ensure that Rebecca cannot be popped by your opponent's effects, because if you go Sabo Rebecca, Rebecca is still available to be popped by anything. It even comes down to things like when playing Gecko as Lucci, making sure that you count the math, know that you have the -1 from leader. You can do an Ice Age and then a Tempest Kick on something else because you still have 2 Dawn, which leaves 8 Dawn to play out, a Rebecca and a Suru, and then using the Suru to reduce first before you do on plays from Rebecca, because Rebecca can grab Brook or can grab and play Spandine, which lets you do a bunch of other things, end up playing Lucci. And it's just a long combo, but it's all about knowing what you have to do before you do that combo, because let's say you ended up doing the entire combo first, but you forgot to use Ice Age and Tempest Kick. That ruins your game and the combo does not connect, and you just played all of this for basically nothing. So just knowing that you have to do everything first and kind of mapping out your turn is very important, because if you're not mapping out properly and you're not taking into account your leader's abilities and your opponent's leader ability and your opponent's card effects and your opponent's triggers, you can end up losing the game due to sequencing. So just remember that you are able to attack at any point in the turn. You can do anything at any point without, any restrictions. So just make sure that you go by what your card says and pay attention, take your time, and don't really rush when it comes down to the sequencing, because it's win or loss sometimes, and misplays can really push you in a downward spiral. So take your time, think about your turn, have fun, and win more games. Anyways, that's all for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure you guys drop comments below and let people know some sequencing in specific decks even. That is very important, or you see a lot of people misplay, because not everybody plays every deck, and some sequences are very interesting. Even if you don't play the deck, it's good to know the sequencing so that you can kind of play around it and know what your opponent's planning to do. Anyways, give this video a thumbs up, see you in the next video, stay awesome, and have fun. Bye!